Hey everybody, Michael Snyder here, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is June 29th, and right now we're looking at the visible satellite imagery. You can see some clouds and a system that's going to be moving through British Columbia here. As we got this trough, it's going to kind of move across British Columbia the next few days here. So it's not going to allow us to warm up to extreme levels, but we are going to be above average here. And then when that system clears, we're really going to warm up towards the 4th of July. We'll take a look at those details coming up here. You can see some of the low clouds into the Puget Sound, down the Strait of Juan de Fuca there. Pretty foggy morning here at my house. Nice and cool after yesterday's warm day. Trying to let that cold air in the house before things start to warm up again today as this marine layer starts to burn off. Now, taking a look here at Paradise Mount Rainier, you can still see nice blue sky up there, and we should really not have any thunderstorms across the Cascades today. I know the last several days we've had those, although we may return to that regime here as we go on in through the extended forecast. This is looking on the Washington coastline here. Actually, some breaks still going on. This is Seabrook out there. Nice day to be on the coastline pretty much any time during the summer, really. Now, this is looking at the gale warning again down the Strait of Juan de Fuca and some of the southwest Washington coast down towards the Oregon coast there. As we get to afternoon heating and the interior warms up, we really get these west winds rolling down the Strait of Juan de Fuca, and we'll take a look at that in the weather models here in a moment. And this is looking at that now. In fact, this is the NAM3KM 12Z run hot off the presses. So you can see as you go through the afternoon hours, you start to pick up these wind speeds here, and including across the east slopes of the Cascades as well. Again, that's why all the wind farms are there, but you can really see these winds get cranking here as you get into the evening hours here, about 8 p.m. shown there. And then you notice it kind of relaxes as you get towards the next morning. And as we heat up the interior here, we build that gradient and we start to bring those strong west winds across the Cascades and down the Strait of Juan de Fuca here as well, and kind of rinse and repeat here, kind of a typical summer regime across Pacific Northwest. And this is why that happens. So as you look into the afternoon hours, you can see the interior warm up more than the coastal areas here. So you get that pressure gradient. You're basically bringing heat across the region here. See if that makes low pressure. The heat wants to rise here. So the pressure is lower, and that's what kicks that gradient off. And you can see the cooling the overnight hours here, and then the redevelopment of that heat. And it continues that cycle, that diurnal cycle of those west winds through the Strait of Juan de Fuca and down the east slopes of the Cascades here. And you can kind of see as we go on to Saturday again, we warm up across the interior more than we do for the coastal regions. Now, this is looking at fire weather here with those gusty winds coming across the region. Watch out for the fire danger, gust at 35 miles per hour, low relative humidity, and it doesn't take much to start fires this time of year. And this is looking at Pendleton, Oregon. Today's heat extends into next week. Check out Hermiston. Look at that, hovering around 100 degrees all the way through the 4th of July here. High temperatures 10 to 15 degrees above normal, and the Tri-Cities is going to get pretty warm after the 4th of July as well, as much of eastern Washington and Oregon also. Now, looking at the wider view of things, there's Alaska, BC, Washington. This is 500 millibars, 18,000 feet. You can kind of see that trough hanging out over the Gulf of Alaska here, and you can kind of see it meander its way through British Columbia, and not extremely strong as with any trough this time of year generally. And then as that moves through here, we kind of build this ridge across a lot of British Columbia here, and then we look to warm up here. And since we're looking a little bit off into the future, we're not sure just how much we're going to warm up, but some places look like they're going to get downright hot. I mean, some of the models have Portland approaching 100 degrees here, and we'll take a look at those models here in a moment. This is looking at the 6-hour precipitation. There's Washington, Oregon, BC, Alaska here. This is the Gulf of Alaska view. 6-hour precip mean sea level pressure. You can see the system out here towards Kodiak, Alaska. I put this into motion, kind of see this precipitation moving across BC here as we go into Friday morning and continue through here. And you can see another very weak system rolling through here on the July 1st time frame, mainly central and northern BC here with some light precipitation. And again, you could get some severe weather across some of Alberta with this activity as well, but not much precipitation for Washington, Oregon through this time period. As you can see, the ridge build as we go into July 3rd and July 4th. We're going to remain dry here across the region. Pretty warm 4th of July coming up. More on that here in a moment. But this is looking at yesterday afternoon's European run, 850 millibars, 5,000 feet. You can kind of see the above average temperatures here aloft. You can see the trough trying to slide through British Columbia here as we go through July 2nd. And then it finally moves out, and look at the temperatures really start to warm up here at 5,000 feet as we warm up here across the Pacific Northwest, even getting some offshore flow a bit at times. So it's going to be interesting to see just how much we warm up here. I have a feeling the forecasts are going to kind of be in flux here as we go through the next couple of days. Looking at Seattle yesterday, 79 degrees. That's 5 degrees above average, but nowhere even close to the all-time record high for SeaTac 2021, an incredible 108 degrees. And if you want the flip side of that, look at 1946, 1.15 inches of rain in a 24-hour period there in late June. That must have been a sight to see. Now, this is looking at daily 2-meter max temperature here. This is the National Blend of Models. This would be for today, up towards 80 degrees for Seattle. Look at that Willamette Valley, well up into the upper 80s here towards 90 degrees. The further south you get, eastern Washington potentially flirting with 100 degrees today. Check out Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Not much change across the region here. Look at the 4th of July. Temperatures bump up here, and you can get to the mid and upper 90s for some of the Willamette Valley and even upper 80s for Seattle. Warming across the southwest coast of BC there as well. Even Vancouver Island getting into the heat. Look at some of the valleys up into BC and down into Idaho there as well. Really going to warm up here across the region. There's the 5th, the 6th, 7th, 8th, and you can see 100-degree day maybe out there across some of the Tri-City areas as we go on into the future. But looks like above average is going to be the general rule here as we go through the extended. This is Portland. Check out yesterday afternoon's European. Some of the models are flirting with temperatures up towards 100 degrees. The control checked in on the July 5th there at 100 and then 102 on July 6th. 4th of July, right about 94 degrees there. So we'll see how this goes. We still have a few days to look at that here. And I think these temperatures might be changing a little bit here as we go. You can see some disagreement with the ensembles as you get off towards the 5th and 6th here. We start to get some divergence, and the confidence becomes lower after you get just after the July 4th period there. This is the GFS also calling for a very warm 4th of July here. The control said 97 there for Portland here, and then you can kind of see the ensemble start to diverge a bit here, although it stays warm. This is looking at Tri-Cities. Check this out on the GFS here. Daily high-low temperatures as you go on in through the later portions of the period into next week here. Look at this 109 it's calling for on 7th and 8th here. So pretty warm period coming up here. And even these temperatures are still plenty warm here across eastern Washington the further out you go. And this is looking at Tri-Cities and the GFS ensembles. And if you take a look here, one of these ensemble members clocked in at 115 degrees here, but you can see other ensembles disagree with that. And the control and the mean are just generally down toward the 100 degree and even a little bit above that as we go on in through the future. This is the next 10 days on the European model. You can see not much precip for Vancouver, BC, Seattle, or Portland coming up here. Willamette Valley, Eastern Washington, Columbia Basin, not expecting much, although we may return to some afternoon thunderstorm activity here through the later portion of the period. We'll watch that also for the next few days. 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. Bullseye is here. You don't need me to tell you what that means. 6 to 10 day precipitation. Below average signal for western Washington down to Oregon. Monsoon is delayed here across some of the southwest as well. Now check this out. U.S. Drought Monitor just updated today. So you can see back on May 30th, just had some abnormally dry across western Washington here. Now watch what happens as we scroll through. We actually erase some of that drought across Wyoming, and we help out drought in some other areas as well. But you see southeast Washington now entered in that drought area. Reduce some of that severe drought across eastern Oregon, but look at we introduced some moderate drought here across the Cascades, southwest Washington, the coastal range of Oregon as well. And since May 30th, we brought the drought all the way into northwest Washington also there. So yeah, not good news here. Hopefully that doesn't mean bad things for the fire season, but there's a lot of different factors that come into play when you're dealing with the fire season here across Pacific Northwest. Doesn't matter if you're dry. If you don't get the fire starts, you're still going to do okay. But we did introduce this moderate drought for some of western Washington and the Cascades. And this is looking at sea surface temperature anomaly. I just like to play this through. Got some good feedback on this. You can see the warm water building up off the coast of South America, La Nina in the rearview mirror, and the encroaching El Nino as we go. We are in those conditions now, and we're right on the threshold of moving into a moderate El Nino as we speak. Probably still going to be some fluctuations in those temperatures as we go over the next few weeks, though. And this is looking at CFS forecast here, updated June 29th. Still has us going up towards a moderate El Nino. A lot of the ensemble members have strong or better here for El Nino, and just a few in the moderate category here. And then you have a couple, they drop us back out into weak. But you can see the vast majority are moderate or strong as we we go through the period. And we should be getting a new European forecast. They put this out once a month here, and this is for the El Nino or the ENSO region down there across the equatorial Pacific. And you can see what it said June 1st here. And it'll be interesting to see what it shows for July 1st, because some of the models have been bouncing around a little bit here. So it'll be fun to see what the European shows when the July 1st forecast comes out there, and I'll be sure to show it here on the channel. But anyway, yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying this weather out there. This spring layer is going to burn off for a lot of the area again today, and we're going to thank this trough here for not letting things get too warm as this moves across British Columbia for the next few days. But then it looks like we are going to warm up as we get towards the 4th of July for much of the region. We're going to dry out here before potentially bringing some thunderstorms back through in the extended forecast, and we'll watch that as we go through the next few days as well. So hope you guys are liking these videos. And again, if you guys want a nice affordable home weather station, I'll put that in the link below. This weather station is really nice. You get 10% off if you click on that link, and it stores all the data for you. It's really fun to watch. You can use your smartphone app, and it works well with that also. So anyway, hope you guys are having a good day, and we'll do this again tomorrow, and I'll talk to you guys then.